Greetings. It is February 23rd. It is approximately 20 to 10, and it is a balmy 70 plus degrees here in southeastern North Carolina on the coast, between the humidity and the heat. Got a lot of road work going on in my subdivision. Once again, if you're not familiar with my channel, one of the things I like to do, among other things, is if you leave a comment, I like to respond. I like to read your comment out loud, and then I like to respond. So without further ado, let's get started. So, Jen Queen 1 responding to comments on the Joss Whedon and Jensen Ackles, Is It Really What It Seems, from January 21st. I watched the podcast because I like the way Rosie gets the best out of his guests. Having had Jensen on before, and of course they were on Smallville together, so there's the trust and shared experience there. As regards his situation with Alba, who started off being petty with him and he naturally pushed back, he became aware of the pressures she was under as lead actress in the show. There was also the fact that she was involved with another lead character in the show who basically bullied Jensen. Tried to undermine him and had script changes made so that he looked good and reduced Jensen's roles and lines. The rest of the cast, and more importantly the crew, had a great liking for him and praised his professionalism, as clearly the other actor was beyond jealous and was determined to give Ackles a hard time. As for Alba, they came good in the end, and he says when his grandfather died, she came into his trailer and gave him a long hug, which meant a lot to him. Jensen has always been kind and gracious to castmates and cast members, but he made it clear he wasn't going to take any crap. Those who want to make something of it are far off the mark and had never seen the podcast. I'm embarrassed for their ignorance and how easily they get riled up before they know the facts. The set of Supernatural was famous for how the lead actors Jensen and Jared treated everyone, which was very well no matter who they were, crews and teamsters included. All because of his prior experience on the set of Dark Angel, which he did not want repeated on his own set. So in that regards, thank you again, Jen Queen, for responding and more importantly for watching the video. Yeah, numerous people have commented on this, and at the risk of repeating myself, it kind of hits the mark of what I'm trying to say, and that is we've reached a point in our society where we have this weird, awkward addiction to sensationalism. The more sensational, the greater the fix, the greater the high. And it just appeared to me that I already have a tremendous amount of mistrust in media. And I just saw the clickbait with Jensen where they were taking excerpts, without framing the entire context and creating clickbait and, creating this whole Jensen versus Jessica and all this nonsense. So it appears as though you and I are on the same sheet of music where it's like, did you watch the whole podcast? Did you hear everything he had to say? Did you hear the start? Did you hear the middle? Did you hear the finish? Do you know the conclusion? Or are you just checking on the clickbait and, because it supports your own preconceived conclusions of the world? Are you one of those that gets high off of this sensationalism? So, what else do we have here? Matthew Miller responding to Joss Whedon and Jensen Ackles, Is It Really What It Is? Is It Really What It Seems, from January 21st. There is no such thing as gravity. I'm sorry, Matthew. I might have to rewatch the video or reread some of the comments. I apologize. I don't understand. But then you continued. You also watched another video I made on the same day, pedophilia. Should it be acceptable or not? From the 21st of January. Let me see here. I don't think I have anything on that. And then, of course, I'll go back, Matthew, and double check if you had any comments on that. Martin Rabe responded to the same video, Joss Whedon and Jensen Ackles, Is It Really What It Seems, from January 21st. Don't annoy me with the firearm safety. How many gun nuts that shoots all the time shoot in their food or others? But those guys lector on an actor who never owned a gun. I was in the military and they shot on accident, not capital US. Martin, I copy and paste these things directly from the emails I get on Gmail, which is where my account is linked to. So if you were typing on a phone or a tablet, I'm just reading it verbatim. I try not to make assumptions of people who take the time to watch my videos and comment. Mr. Martin, first and foremost, thank you for taking the time to watch the video, and thank you for taking the time to comment. And also thank you for taking the time to comment on a different topic from that video. So many things I could say on that particular thing, and again, I'm trying to forego making any kind of assumptions or judgments based on your response. I spent 20 years in the Marine Corps. One of the worst things I ever had to do was spend an enormous amount of time dealing with those who were not very good people. More importantly, were not very good service members. Let's not forget that in the armed forces, we are held to a higher standard than regular people are, because we're supposed to provide something for regular Americans to look up to. Until they published the census results, the last time I looked into it, as of the 2017 census, and I could be wrong, 0.7% of the American population is wearing a uniform. 4.3% are veterans. So you add those two together, that makes a population of 5% or less. That means the other 95% of Americans couldn't, wouldn't, refused to, it never even crossed their mind, have never joined the military, have no idea what it's like to be in the military. On another topic, not everybody who serves in the military is the same. And I'm not trying to be mean, I'm not trying to be malicious, I'm just telling you the truth. In the Marine Corps, everybody has to go to boot camp. Then everybody has to go through 4 weeks of combat training. Everybody has to learn how to survive combat and how to be a killer. All right? That's what it takes to be a Marine. Male, female, non-binary, doesn't matter. Everybody has to go to boot camp. Everybody has to learn how to survive combat. Everybody has to learn how to be a killer. Then, if you don't have an infantry MOS, you'll go on to your MOS school and learn how to be a Quaker, a baker, a candlestick maker, a wrench turner, whatever. If you're infantry, you'll go into an MOS specialty. Well, you'll learn how to be a rifleman, a mortarman, a machine gunner, or an anti-tank missileman, or an LAV crewman, and some others that I won't get into. As far as the 5 safety rules, treat, never, keep, keep, no. Treat every weapon as if you were loaded. Had Mr. Baldwin treated the weapon as if it were loaded, he may have been able to avoid this unfortunate accident. All right? If he would have never pointed the weapon at anything he did not intend to shoot, having first treated the weapon as if it were loaded, which means checking the weapon to see if it was in fact loaded, he may have been able to prevent this accident. All right? Keep your finger straightened off the trigger until you intend to fire. Keep the weapon on safe until you intend to fire. Know your target, what lies beyond and between. All right? Because that bullet is acted upon by inertia. All right? Unless it's acted upon by an outside force, it will continue to remain in motion. All right? So if there's something that will not stop that projectile in between the projectile and the target, it's going to go right through that whatever that is. If the target itself is not going to stop the projectile, then it's going to keep on going and potentially hit something else. All right? So, Mr. Martin, I don't know your experiences. I don't know what you were in the military. I don't know how your time in the military was. I don't know if you were good at it. I don't know if you left on good terms. I don't know if you separated on good terms. But for me and what I did for a living, and for all Marines, we all know treat, never, keep, keep, no. It is drilled into us. I could be drunk off my ass and still maintain the 5 weapons handling procedures, all right? And it's just something that's been burned into me. And I say this with a level of contempt because I'm assuming Mr. Baldwin has gone through rigorous hours of firearms safety training, firearms handling procedures in order to handle firearms on the set of a movie, which he's made several movies. I personally enjoy his acting. I enjoy the movies he makes, all right? I may not enjoy his politics. I may not enjoy some of his socio-political views, all right? We may differ on certain things. And I know Alec Baldwin has also made numerous comments that are very anti-gun related, and yet he has no problem getting paid millions of dollars to make movies with guns and then handle a firearm inappropriately, resulting in the death of, I think, at least one person because of his carelessness and his foolishness. So, Mr. Martin, we don't have to agree. We don't have to see eye to eye. But yes, I have little to no sympathy for Mr. Baldwin. I have no doubt he had zero intentions to hurt or harm anybody. I have no doubt he was potentially fooling around. However, negligence is negligence, and it amounts to the same thing. Okay, and if that was one of the points you were trying to make, is people being negligent, whether they're gun nuts, whether they're in the service, you're absolutely right. And when somebody was negligent with a firearm in the service, they were dealt with significantly. All right, I don't want to go into the details, but let's just say mishandling of a firearm with live ammunition that results in an injury or death was dealt with severely. All right, it was not taken lightly. And you're absolutely right. In the Army, the Navy, the Marine Corps, the Air Force, the Coast Guard, and the Space Force, yes, negligent discharges do happen. I'm not going to pretend that it doesn't. All right. I know for some reason I briefly brought up that I spent 90% of my time dealing with the 10%ers. Sometimes those 10%ers were the ones who couldn't handle their weapons properly. It was just not something they can get through their head. But, maybe that's a video I'll make for a different time. On that note, I'm going to pause it for 1 second while I go and see if Matthew Miller had something else that he responded to. All right, my apologies, Matthew Miller. I did find your comment. So you responded to the video I made about pedophilia and whether, there's a certain portion of society that's trying to normalize this. Your response was, if they accept that, they have to accept everything. Sounds like The Purge to me. And so if you're not familiar with the video I made, Sydney Watson posted a video, and basically the summary of that video is how there's a portion of society who is attempting to normalize such things like pedophilia by trying to rename it as minor attracted people. And you have to understand what this strictly involves is this involves the sexual attraction towards children, specifically of an age that makes them innocent children. We're not talking about pubescent teens like 13, 14, and 15 where they're still technically a minor, but they're starting to reach a certain age. No, we're talking well before puberty, okay? And how there's people that are trying to normalize this as anything else. And I made a video about, essentially we as a society have the capacity to come together and determine what we accept and what we don't accept. And then, of course, we elect people to basically enact laws that focus on our shared ideals of what we accept and what we don't accept, and how there's a current group trying to make pedophilia acceptable. And what Mr. Miller was talking about is, you can't have one without the other. If you say my body, my choice when it comes to an abortion, then equally and opposite, other people should be able to say my body, my choice when it comes to the vaccine. If you're going to attempt to normalize pedophilia, then I think what Mr. Miller is trying to say is then equally and opposite, we should also be able to normalize the purge. All right? Because no matter what, there are some of us who think pedophilia is completely absurd, and there's going to be some of you who think the purge is completely unacceptable. Well, that's why I keep mentioning it's the third decade of the 21st century, and we're talking about normalizing pedophilia. We're talking about systemic racism. We have a Showtime documentary series called Everything's Going to Be All White, where it focuses on nothing but perceived racism of all white ethnicities. All right, Irish, Italian, you name it. All right, all these different ethnicities that make up the Caucasian race of beings. In America, persecuting everybody else who's not a Caucasian. That's what it basically focuses on, which really all it does is it divides us into you agree or you disagree, in which case the last time we had such severe disagreements, we had a civil war. So I don't know who's pushing this agenda and what the ultimate goal is. I've been asking this question for over a year now, so I'm going to leave it at that. Once again, thank you for watching the videos. Thank you for leaving your comments. If you comment, I will respond. Just so you know, I'm going to copy and paste your comments into a Word document, and then I'm going to read them. And I'm going to read them exactly as they are typed and or written or whatever. So it's not that I'm trying to make fun of you. It's not that I'm trying to pick on you. If you're using your phone, it just is what it is. That's how I'm going. So that I don't misquote you, I'm going to read it exactly how it's typed. But you guys know the deal. Get involved. Let's have these conversations. Let's communicate with one another. Let's be better than what the media is trying to do to us, which is divide us into camps. All right? We don't have to agree, but maybe we can agree that we're still good people just trying to get by in life, pay our bills and whatnot. So until then, you're awesome.